Okay, you guys, fly by the seat of your pants, and here we go. I have been so encouraged by your willingness to jump right into what? The quadratics unit. I'm feeling fabulous. You guys are doing amazing, getting the vocabulary, and I'm truly encouraged. So we're just going to carry on here, people. With polynomials and the like, okay? We're going to be talking about in this video basically using the quadratic formula, okay, to find the solutions of a quadratic that we're given, okay? So that's what this video is for, to use the quadratic formula. But I just want to remind you of a few things so we can make some connections, okay, you guys? So here we have a trinomial here, a quadratic. Okay, and I want you to know the difference between factoring versus solving, okay? You know, if we were to just factor this, okay, the a value is equal to 1, and we would just go 1, 2, x, fill in the two blanks here and say, what two numbers when multiplied together, okay, give you a positive 15, but when you add them together gives you a positive 8. Well, you would say 3 and 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 plus 5 is 8. Positive 3, positive 5, and you're done. Okay? You factored that quadratic. The difference between factoring and solving, everybody put the star and write, solving means finding the solutions to that quadratic, meaning how many times does that parabola touch or cross the x-axis. So let's scroll this down, okay? Just to remind you. So solving, once again, when we are finding the solutions, I want you to keep this in your mind, okay, because we're going to do the quadratic formula today, okay? And what we're using the quadratic formula for, okay, is to find the solutions to the parabola, to the quadratic, okay? So let's remind ourselves. If the parabola touches the x-axis at one point, there will only be one solution, okay? If the parabola, the quadratic, crosses over the x-axis at 2 points, that means there's two solutions, okay? And then if it doesn't even touch the x-axis at all, that means there's no solution, okay? So back to the top here, you guys, real quick. Okay, when we're factoring, okay, we got x plus 3 and x plus 5. Because I told you that factoring was the opposite of multiply, meaning what times what gave you the original, okay? But when we are solving, okay, the quadratic for solutions, okay, what we need to do is make sure, number one, put the star, okay, that the quadratic is set equal to 0, okay? And above this, I want you to write, once again, ax squared plus bx plus c, okay? Because that reminds you, what is your a, what is your b, what is your c? And your, yes, we need to know what that is again, because watch what happens when we take a look at the quadratic formula. Here we go, okay? So, solutions meaning when we use the quadratic formula, okay, folks? You're either going to get one solution, two solutions, or no solution. All right? So, here we go, quadratic formula. Here we are. Hello, quadratic formula. This is a quadratic, and here's our quadratic formula right here. So, right now, I would like you to write this quadratic formula in your notes, okay? And we are going to use the quadratic formula to find how many solutions Does this is the same quadratic that we had above here, you know, the x plus 3, x plus 5, you know, the what times what gave us this when we factored it. We're using the same quadratic, and we're using the quadratic formula now to find the solutions. Does this touch the x-axis one time, twice, or not at all? Okay, so when we're finding the solutions, okay, we have to, number one, as I said, set it equal to 0. And let's remember, this is our A, this is our B term, and this is our C term. Okay, real quickly, if this originally said, just sidebar, if this originally said x squared plus 8x equals negative 15, if this is what it originally said, very important, you guys, when you're solving quadratics, they have to be set equal to 0. Okay, I hope you guys are getting that we're not talking about factoring anymore. We can factor to solve, but we're just doing the quadratic formula today. Okay, but regardless, to solve, okay, we have to set it equal to 0. It has to be equal to something. Okay, that's what finding the solutions means. So right now, this is not equal to 0. Okay, so what would we have to do to make this equal to 0? What would we have to move to make this equal to 0? Well, we would have to move this negative 15 to the other side. How do we do that? By doing the opposite of what we were given. So we're going to add 15. Those cancel, right? And bring down what we have left over, which is x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. So now it is set equal to 0, okay? And now we can solve this quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Here we go. Okay? All right, so this is your A term, this is your B term, this is your C term. Why is that important? Because as you can see, and by the way, this is a positive and a negative. We're going to talk about that. I want you to go ahead and circle that in the formula. You already wrote down the formula, okay? So why does this says x equals? Well, it's because we want to figure out how many times does the parabola touch the x-axis. Does it touch the x-axis once, twice, or not at all? Okay, so that's why we're trying to figure out, you know, what is x equal to? How many x's are there? Okay, so as with any formula that we've had in the past, I've always told you to write the formula and then rewrite it with the what? The empties, okay? So we're going to say x equals negative empty, right? Do this with me, plus or minus, and I'll explain what that means in a second. This right here, b squared minus 4ac, that's the discriminant. I'll explain that later. Empty squared minus 4 times empty, okay? And then all divided by 2 times empty, because wherever there was a variable, I put an empty space. And you guys, that's it basically. You're going to basically fill in your A, B, and C, do the math, and be done with it. I mean, seriously, easy peasy. Let's do it, okay? So here we go. So let's, here's our A, even though it's not there, we know that there's a 1 there. Here's our B, and here's our C. So here we go. I might need a calculator, and goodness graciousness. Okay, here we are. Okay, I might need a calculator. All right, so we have B is 8, so 8, and then where do we see B again? Right there. And then A and C. So A is 1 and C is 15. 1 and 15. Yes, I may need a calculator possibly. And then our A value is 1. So now you guys, all we have to do is the math. Okay, x equals. What's the opposite of a positive 8? Negative 8. Okay, plus or minus. Here we go. What is 8 squared? We're gonna clean this up as we go along. Okay. So 8 squared is what? 64. I'm going to erase that and put 64. Okay? Now, negative 4 times 1 is a negative 4. Negative 4 times 15 is a negative 60. now let's do the denominator here. 2 times 1 is what? 2. Okay, cleaning it up, folks. Do you see how, I'm cleaning things up and I'm just doing what? Order of operations? Fabulous. Okay, taking my time. Okay, so here we go. So, okay, so 64 minus 60 gives me what? 4. Okay, and then this is all divided by 2. Okay, so here we go. Circle that plus or minus and put the star. Okay, that plus or minus means we need to do this twice. Okay, and by the way, what is the square root of 4? What times what gives me 4? 2. So let's just, carpe diem, and yeah, let's do that right now. Okay, here we go. 2. Okay, so now what you're going to have to do, folks, this plus or minus means that we're going to have to do this twice. Okay, so draw your arrow once, draw your arrow twice. I know it looks like, craziness, but it will come together. Okay, so x equals, you're going to do negative 8 plus 2, negative 8 plus 2 divided by 2. On the left side, draw your squiggly. Okay, so we're doing the addition first. Then on the right side, x equals, you're going to do the subtraction on the right. Okay, so negative 8 minus 2. Negative 8 minus 2 divided by 2. Are you with me? Okay, this is going to tell us how many solutions we have. How many times does that parabola cross over the x-axis, right? X and x, maybe twice. Here we go. Okay, so now we just do the math. Okay, so what's a negative 8 plus 2? Negative 6. Hold, please. And what is a negative 6 divided by 2? Negative 3. That's our first solution. Okay? Here we go. Number 2. Negative 8 minus 2 is what? Negative 10. Okay? Negative 10 divided by 2 gives me what? Negative 5. There's your 2 solutions, guys. Can you visualize it? By the way, you're done. You're completely done. You solved this quadratic, okay? Using what? The quadratic formula. Okay, so you guys, the parabola, okay, which is a smiley face, okay, because that's a positive A value, okay. That smiley face, that parabola crosses over the x-axis at a negative 3 and a negative 5. So this quadratic, this parabola has 2 solutions, okay? That's it, folks. That's using the quadratic formula. So, yeah, easy peasy. Good job, dudes. All right, folkaroonies, let's go ahead and do what? Another practice example. Fabulous. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to Shazam and copy and bring it up, delete, and paste. There you go. All right. Delete. All right. So here it is. This is what it's going to look like. Let me freeze it. Shazam. Okay. This is what it's going to look like, okay, on your assignment. Solve this quadratic. How do we know it's a quadratic? What's the dead giveaway? The squared. Hello. All right. So solve the quadratic by using the quadratic formula. Folks, take a look here. Is this equal to 0? No. Is that problematic? Yes. Why is that? Because what does it need to be equal to? 0. Okay, how do we do that? By moving this negative 20 to the other side by doing what? Doing the opposite of what you were given. So what's the opposite of a negative 20? Positive 20. Okay, so we're going to add 20 to both sides, and that will give us x squared minus 12x plus 20 equals 0. Okay, fabulous. Now we have our a, even though it's not there, there's a 1 there. So, and that's a positive 1, so we have a smiley face and a minimum of our vertex, right? We have our A, we have our B, and we have our C. Okay, so now, once again, hello. I'm sure that when you take the Algebra EOC, they will have this on your reference sheet, so no need to memorize, okay? But, as per usual, we need to know how to what? Use it, okay? So, once again, let's go ahead and rewrite it with the empties. Here we go. So x equals negative b. Oh, excuse me, negative empty. Okay. Negative empty plus or minus, draw your square root. Empty squared minus 4 empty empty. Okay. All divided by 2 times empty. All right. You guys are setting yourselves up for success. Okay. So here we go. And now, we just start doing it. All right, freeze it. So, here's our A, here's our B, here's our C. Hopefully, I won't need a calculator. Hopefully, because I'm like blind up here. Woo! Blind! Here we go. All right, so, what's our B? Negative 12. Oh, folks, very, very, very good here. Our B is a negative 12. Okay? So you have to put the negative 12 in here, okay? And what does that negative tell you? Give me the opposite of what's inside. So what's the opposite of a negative 12? Positive 12. Be very, very careful, okay, with the your positive and negative symbols, okay? Thank the Lord that that I saw that. Okay? So now once again, negative 12 again. Okay? Times negative 4 times A times C. What is our A? 1. What is our C? 20. What is our A? 1. So you guys, what is this about, folks? Okay, organization. That's all it's about, okay? And hello. We are organized, okay? I'm still dancing to Return of the Mac, okay, people? Okay, Return of the Mac. Oh, you know what? You know that song, She's a Bad Mama Jamma, that I was dancing to recently? I honestly thought the original artist was, who? Stevie Wonder. Silly me. I don't even know. It's some guy named Carl. Moving on. Okay, so here we go. All we have to do now is the math, okay? So, to solve example number 2, quadratic. Here we go. So, what is the opposite of a negative 12, positive 12? Here we go. Erase. Okay? 12. Don't forget that plus or minus. You know what that means? Split. Okay, moving on. Do the math. Negative 12 squared. Okay? Negative times negative is positive. 144. Put it in there, dudes. Put it in there, people. 144. Okay. What's a negative 4 times 1? Negative 4. What's a negative 4 times 20? Negative 80. Okay? Are you getting this? 2 times 1 is what? 2. Okay. So now I need help. So over the side, 144 minus 80. Yes, yes, I need help. 0, 14, 64. Okay, so you guys, 144 minus 80 gives us 64. Are you guys seeing how things are getting, they go from here to shrink it down? Okay, yes. All right. Wake up and smell the coffee beans. Okay? Fabulous. Okay, guys, why do we love this? Why do we love this heart? Okay? Perfect square. All right? What's the square root of 64? 8. All right? Do it. Do it now. 8. All right. Okay, it looks kind of large. Let me shrink it down for you. Okay, shrink it, shrink it. Okay, so now we need to do what? Split, draw the squiggle. Okay, right and left side. Why? Why do we have to do a right and a left side? Easy peasy. Positive side, negative side. Okay? To represent the positive and negative side of the what? The number line, the x-axis. Moving on. Okay? So let's do this. Let me just erase this to give me some room. Excuse me, pardon me. Okay? So let's do it. We bring down our x equals. So we have 12 plus 8. 12 plus 8 divided by 2 on the left. Okay? And then we have 12 minus 8. X equals 12 minus 8 divided by 2. Okay? So how easy is this? Fabulous. 12 plus 8 is what? 20. 20 divided by 2 is what? 10. So x equals 10. That's one of our solutions. X. Okay, so 12 minus 8 is what? 4. 4 divided by 2 is what? 2. So x equals 2. So you guys, I just erased it, but our second example, okay, has 2 solutions. So you know that this parabola crosses over the x-axis at 2 points, which means the parabola has 2 solutions. Folks, that's it. That is the quadratic formula. I'm going to go ahead and just, in the video, I'm going to put up one more practice example, and you're going to do it, and then we're going to do it live together, okay? So here it is. Shazam, and there you go. Or is that the one we just did? Hold on. Yeah, that is the one we just did, so let's do this one. New one, okay? So here you have it, and fabulous. Go for it. 3 minutes, go.